This week, Mike Rutherford reports on the joys of Caterham 7 construction and ownership. Your chance to win a VIP trip for two to see the unveiling of the new Arrows Grand Prix car. But first, more reports from the Detroit International Motorshow, where one of the big stars of the show is the all-new VW Beetle.
Well, on the outside, the Beetle's 50-year heritage is unmistakable, but once you open the door and get inside, first impressions are that it's absolutely light years away. It really feels more like the inside of the new Golf or the Passat. It's got a very high quality feel. And there are some 90s touches. You've got a power outlet. This is an automatic version, and of course the obligatory cup holders. Once you sit behind the wheel, one thing you instantly notice is the seating position. It's a normal driving position, and those pedals, well, they're very easy to reach, which some true Beetle enthusiasts may not like. But me, well, I think this would be a far more comfortable drive. However, inside VW haven't forgotten the heritage of this car. They've included a lovely touch, a little flower vase there by the steering wheel. And of course, it wouldn't be a true Beetle without the net on the side doors and these grab handles. All in all, Volkswagen have managed to combine old and new to produce something that's evolutionary and not really 60s revolutionary. But the engine may well not be at the back anymore, but the heart is definitely still in the right place. The curvy car for the next millennium may, on the face of it, seem to be an all-American affair. So it's rather comforting to know that the man who headed up the design team responsible for the new Beetle, Charles Elwood, was actually born in Chester before studying at Liverpool. He then moved to Germany to work for Volkswagen and ended up heading their Californian design studio.
Such an icon to redesign it, you have to use design principles like product design and the Bauhaus design school principles and keep to those very clean lines. But obviously, if you look at the car, it's a much more modern version of the original car, but using elements like the wheel arches, the dome between the wheel arches, and just making it very clean architecturally throughout the vehicle, on the outside and on the inside.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it's a stunning car to look at, but there are some very nice touches there, throwbacks to the original, aren't there? Did you feel it was important to include all the heritage?
Well, without using the word retro, we did try and take some elements out of the old vehicle, like the vase, like the grab handle, like the round binnacle where the instruments are there. So there is this essence of the old car there, but done in a very new modern way.
So what about the next design challenge for you after designing a Beetle? I mean, what comes next?
Oh, there's all sorts of things we're doing at the moment, which obviously I can't talk about. But it's going to be, I mean, the Beetle is one area we're looking at, but there are a lot more niche areas we're looking at. This is a niche vehicle. It's not mainstream as let's say a Toyota Camry or a Golf. This is off to the side a little bit. And a lot of customers are looking for niche vehicles as opposed to mainstream vehicles at the moment.
You talked about it being retro. We're not wanting to use the word too much, but it is retro. But obviously you've needed to update it to meet 90s legislation and also to meet the requirements of the 90s driver. How have you done that?
Well, it fulfills all the crash requirements in bumpers and side crash. Inside it has front airbags, passenger and driver airbag, and it has in the seat side airbags and crash beams in the doors. So it's fully fulfills all the legislation it's required to.
Just from looking around people here, the one thing that everybody seems to do is go up and touch it or stroke it, run their hands over the curves. Is that what you wanted? Is that the kind of reaction you were hoping for?
I think that's just what people do. It wasn't our intention, but that's what they're doing.
Well, are you the man responsible with turning a concept vehicle into a production reality in terms of the interior? How difficult a job was that?
I think this was the most difficult job we did ever.
Why? What challenges were you faced with?
Because the challenge was this: the study we showed in the Detroit Motorshow. It was planned to be a study for a non-emission vehicle in Los Angeles. So this was the point, and nobody ever thought about bringing this as a normal car on the road. So we really had to start at the beginning. We could not use any single part of the study we showed in Detroit.
Now, there are many new car launches here at the North American International Auto Show in Detroit, and one of the biggest has been this morning from Ford, and it's the launch of their brand new coupe, which they're calling the Cougar. The Cougar is the big brother of the Puma, and it's based on the Mondeo platform, and it shares 70% of its parts from the Mondeo, which helps when you take your car into your Ford dealer for servicing. They're already geared up and tooled up to go, and the parts are ready accessible. The Cougar will be launched in the UK sometime this summer, and expect prices between £19,000 and £23,000. And this car is going head-to-head against the 406 Coupe.
Well, anybody who knows the way I think about MPVs or has read what I've written in the past about people carriers will know I hate the damn things. They look like transit vans as far as I'm concerned. Vans with windows. I've never found one I like. I've never found one I wanted. I've never found one I've really felt comfortable driving. But it has to be said that Honda have really upset the apple cart, and they've actually produced an MPV that looks different, that does break the mold, that looks unlike anything else on the market. And here it is. It's being unveiled here at the Detroit show. It's the biggest vehicle, in fact, that Honda have ever built. It's physically very large. It's got a V6 engine, and it will go into production very, very soon. Probably being built at the company's production facility in a place called Alliston, Ontario, which is near Toronto. Now, apart from looking pretty revolutionary from the outside, it's got those wonderful sliding doors, which I must say I do like. The interior is just amazing. Perhaps we'll get a chance to have a look at that a bit later. The other interesting thing about this vehicle is it's called the MV99. I think that's all you need to know about when this car will be seen. MV, multi-vehicle, 99, 1999, I think.
Well, look what we found here at the Detroit Motor Show, the all-new Saab 9.3, which replaces the 900 series in the UK around about March time. Now, John, tell us the main differences between this and the old 900 series.
Well, there's quite a few changes, although externally it doesn't look too much dissimilar. We have obviously made some changes on the front and the rear styling, but a lot of interior changes and under the skin as well. For instance, these seats we're sitting in are all new now for the 9.3, much more comfortable and supportive. We've also introduced side impact airbags now as standard on both seats, and of course our interactive head restraints. These restraints here will pop up in a rear end impact and prevent whiplash injury. We've also made some changes to the steering and the front suspension to, I think, we improved the steering response and the ride. And we are now introducing for the first time ever a turbo diesel engine in a Saab. So there's quite a lot of news with this car, yeah.
Now, Saab customers are very loyal customers to the Saab brand, and what would you think they would attract them to the new 9.3 over their old 900 or even the 9000 series?
Well, they're looking for us to develop the strengths of the car, which I've just mentioned, some of the safety improvements, the equipment as well. We've got now remote controls on the steering wheel and hands-free telephone facility. To be honest, we have no trouble keeping our customers. Our biggest challenge, of course, is to win new customers, and to do that you've got to have a competitive product, and as our UK sales show, we are winning new customers all the time.
Where would you hope that customers would come from for this sort of car?
Well, religion forbids me from mentioning too many names here, but I would think maybe other marques in this sector of the market that maybe are a bit more commonplace on UK roads than Saabs are. I mean, this is very much, we think, an individual's car, and increasingly more people are attracted to them on that basis.
So UK deliveries will start in about March time. What will we see at first?
Well, we kick off sales on the 9.3 with the 5-door and convertible, like this one we're in now, and then around about June time we will have the 3-door coupe version, and then also about that time our first diesel engines.
What led Saab to go down the turbo diesel route? It's a first for you, and maybe why has it taken so long?
Well, that's right. It's certainly a first for us. It's a new market. We believe there are significant numbers of people out there who first and foremost want to drive a diesel, and I've met lots of people over the last few years who said, oh, you know, I'd buy a Saab if you had a diesel engine. So yes, it's taken a few years to come, and it had to be right, and this diesel engine we think is maybe a cut above your average unit, so we're delighted to have it.
Well, just when I thought they'd run out of abbreviations in the car business, we've got a new one. We're used to MPVs, multi-purpose vehicles, what else is there? SUVs, sports utility vehicles. We've now got the age of the SUP, the SUP. This is SUP 1. No, nothing to do with the drink. SUP 1 means Sports Utility Pickup 1. This is the first sports utility pickup truck in the world, arguably. That's at least what Suzuki, the manufacturers, are saying. And again, it says an awful lot for the importance of the Detroit show that our old friend Suzuki didn't unveil this vehicle at the Tokyo show of 2 or 3 months ago. They waited until Detroit because it is truly an international and very, very important show. This is the start of something new, perhaps, the SUP.
There are many contenders for the world's best-selling vehicle, so it may surprise you that the honour has to go to the successor to the horse and cart, that good old boy, the F-Series truck from Ford. First on sale in 1948, in its 50th year, the F-Series has sold well over 26 million. That's an amazing 1 for every 2 people living in Britain.
Well, I think fundamentally it starts with F-Series is America's work truck. And certainly the popularity of the vehicle in recent years has, I think, extended into personal use. Individuals who may own homes and want to carry their landscaping materials and whatnot in the truck. But, you know, fundamentally it started as a work truck, and there are a lot of Americans working right now. Unemployment's less than 5%. And this has been a very, very popular truck. For 16 years, it's been the best-selling vehicle in the United States, which, you know, far outselling most passenger cars.
That's an amazing figure. So do you all have extremely huge driveways in America then to fit one of these
I
things
think
in?
so. I think as a matter of fact, there's not too many starter homes being built in the United States these days, and in part that reflects we've had a prosperous economy with low unemployment and interest rates. There's a lot of new businesses being started in the United States, and many of those businesses are people who are entrepreneurs and they're in the construction trades, or, you know, we've kind of lost our agricultural base, which is where all this started in the first place, I suppose. But
normally when the economy's successful and people have more disposable income, they go for the sort of top of the range, the luxury cars, something to to pose around in.
Yes.
Do you think that in a way this appeals to the Americans' history? So that fact that I think you all really think that you're cowboys in the Wild West.
I think, yeah, no, I think there's an element of that. I'd be, and not unapologetically, you know, the frontier and always moving west, and maybe just a spirit of individualism and adventure. After all, I guess that's how we got here in the first place, huh?
Great thing about this job is the glamorous locations, you know, places like Modena, Italy, you know, Stuttgart, Germany, Turin, Italy, Tokyo, Japan, Seoul, Korea, Detroit, USA, and downtown Dartford. Well, this is the Caterham Superlight, a car for less than £20,000 with supercar performance. But I think we'll let it speak for itself. Just take a listen to this, will you? Well, that's 180 horsepower of Rover K-Series engine. And I don't quite know what they do when they put it under the bonnet of this model that was designed way back in 1957, but it certainly sounds special when it's under the hood of this car. We're talking here about a supercar for the price of a Volkswagen Golf. Well, not quite, but you know what I mean. They prefer not to describe it as a supercar at Caterham, but there's no doubt about it. When you're talking about 190 horsepower, a car that does twice the legal speed limit, 140 miles an hour, not that we'd encourage that sort of thing. A car that, I mean, just look at it. There is no windscreen. Really, the only way to drive this car is with a crash helmet on, or at the very least, a good hat and goggles.
The reason for the car is to provide the ultimate driving experience and to strip away all these peripheries which aren't actually absolutely essential to the driving experience. So in the case of the Superlight R, which is perhaps our most focused product, we don't equip the car as standard with a spare wheel and carrier because that costs you 13.5 kilos. We don't equip it with a windscreen because that costs you 6.6 kilos. We don't equip it with weather equipment because that costs you more weight. Take all of this out, no carpets, the standard seats actually have no trim on them whatsoever. And if you take all of that away, you get a purer and purer driving experience. The Superlight R weighs 470 kilos. That's actually half the weight of a Renault Sport Spider. The Superlight R is extremely powerful. I think it's got a better power to weight ratio than any production Ferrari, for instance. The car, although it is minimal, is safer than you might imagine. We have 10 years of extensive motorsport behind us, which gives us a marvellous opportunity to study what happens to the car when it gets involved in an accident. And they do stand up to it very well. We put high-tech materials into both the side and the rear of the car to protect the occupants. And in a frontal impact, because of its space frame construction, you can have a big impact without damaging yourself.
Well, let's take a closer look at the spec of this incredible vehicle. 1.8 litre Rover K-Series engine, that's the 16-valve DOHC lump that's beneath the bonnet of this vehicle, and 190 horsepower, an incredible 140 miles per hour, 0 to 60, get this, in about 4 seconds. 6-speed gearbox, and get this for an overall weight. The Lotus Elise is 690 kilos. The Caterham Superlight a mere 470. So Jez, we've talked all day long about the sort of prices people pay for a built-up car. The other way, of course, of doing it is to just buy the kit and away you go, take it home and put the thing together in your garage at home.
Yep, you can start with a car for £8,500, and at the other end we go right up to £37,000.
Now, for £8,500, what exactly do you get apart from a big wooden box with lots of bits in it?
You get a chassis which is fully plumbed, fully wired. We do all the wiring because people get nervous about wiring. Can't see electricity, so they don't trust it. So we do that bit for people. And we fit the windscreen, the fuel tank, again a safety critical item, and all the other aspects of the car apart from the engine.
So that's £8,500 plus the engine, which typically you could pick up for
£500. So £9,000 you're on the road.
Right.
In addition to that, you also get a post-build check free with the car. We look over the car for 3 to 5 hours. After that, if we find other things that are wrong, we'll perhaps have a word with you and say, look, we're going to have to do this and we're going to have to charge you for it.
Yeah. But basically, it's like a Caterham MOT, if you like, on your brand new car. You give it the factory approval, as it were.
Absolutely, yes. And what you get to put together is a giant Meccano set. Lots of big bits, satisfyingly large bolts, all brand new and shiny. What
level of competence do you need to build a car like this?
A degree of common sense, and if you've put together a DIY wardrobe, you've got a good chance of being able to assemble a Caterham.
What sort of time do you put in? It's all very well, you know, sitting there with a manual, slaving over this project. I mean, is this something you can knock together in a couple of weekends, or does it take a bit more than that?
Average time we say is about 70 hours.
70?
70. Finicky customers might take 100 hours. We can build one legitimately in the factory in as little as 24 hours. And at kit car shows they've been done in a day. Residuals are very high with our product, and it's an essential part of our sales mechanism for the car, making people realise that they can have a 7, which is perhaps not the world's most sensible car, but they can have one for a period of 2 or 3 years and perhaps only see a couple of £1,000 depreciation. In fact, there are certain models, for instance our scholarship car, which is built specifically for motorsport, an introduction to motorsport, which costs £10,250. Do a season of motorsport with it, and at the end of the season it'll probably be worth £10,000.
Now, if you're thinking of buying one of these Caterham 7s, particularly this version here, without the windscreen, the Superlight, don't go running away with the idea this is a car you can use day in, day out, that you can commute to the office in. It's not really in that league. I mean, it's not a Rover MGF, it's no BMW Z3. They're far, far more civilised. But that, believe it or not, is the joy of this car. It's not like driving a normal motor car. drive along with this windscreen arrangement such as it is, and it's like having your head ripped off. I tried to drive this thing for a few miles without a flying jacket, without a crash helmet, virtually impossible. You don't realise how much dirt and grime and junk is thrown up in your face when you're driving along when you've got a windscreen. So it's very, very much the sort of car that you'd take out on a Sunday, do a few miles every year in it, and happily put it back in your garage. Mind you, if you do want something to compete with the BMW Z3, Rover MGF, just take a look at the Caterham 21. The car will be featuring on next week's Motor Week.
And now, your chance to win a fantastic Formula One prize, which money can't buy, with our exclusive Motor Week competition. You and a friend will be VIP guests of the Danker Arrows Grand Prix team as they launch their new Formula One car for the 1998 season. You will be the only non-press guests to go behind the scenes for a tour of the Formula One facilities at Leafield. You'll meet the Arrows drivers and backup team, as well as being filmed and photographed with both the car and team. You'll also both receive a Danker Arrows goodie bag as a souvenir to remember your day. Travel and accommodation are also included. All you have to do to win this fantastic prize is to answer the following question. What is the Arrows team driver lineup for the 1998 season? Is it A, Kelvin Burt and Johnny Herbert, B, Damon Hill and Pedro Diniz, or C, Mika Salo and Pedro Diniz? To enter, call 0891 234 567 with your answer, A, B or C, leaving your name, address and daytime phone number. That's 0891 234 567. Calls will cost 50 pence a minute, and you and a guest could see the unveiling of the Arrows' new Formula One car, courtesy of Motor Week, here on Granada Men and Motors.